Hello, my name is Richard Buchanan and I'm the founder of Follow Progress. Anxiety can come on pretty strongly and I do believe that it is something that can be managed. But I just wanted to list out 10 really useful ways that we can start to practice managing our anxiety together. I run a practice in London called Follow Progress. It's a cognitive hypnotherapy practice and I work with all kinds of people. I specialize with people in the creative industries, and obviously anxiety is a big problem for people working in creativity. There's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of issues that go with that. But look, whatever your situation, these tips can work for you. Anxiety is more common than most people will believe, and it's not something you should be ashamed of. And we live in a really overstimulated world, and we're constantly being asked to make all kinds of choices. Anxiety is unique for every person. Right, so what the tips I'm giving you here are generalized. I do have a tool, I'll post a link in the video that can help people manage anxiety in a much more personal way. So we're gonna talk about 10 tips. These tips are here just to give you some inspiration, and obviously you can go off, and I usually think that having your own practice is a much more useful way to find your way through these things. So look, the first thing I want to talk about is deep breathing. Deep breathing is one of the most effective ways to regulate the parasympathetic nervous system. And what that effectively enables us to do is to start to regulate how we feel in our body and in our mind. And it starts with our breathing. Now, breathing is a really interesting part of the human experience because it's something we do automatically, but it's also something we can choose to do. So it's a key aspect of our life and it's a key aspect of keeping us alive, but we can control it. So we breathe all the time, but when we breathe intentionally and we breathe deeply, it can have a really powerful effect. The way I do deep breathing, so the technique I use for breathing is very simple. I breathe in for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I take in a big gulp of air. The big gulp is really important because what it effectively does is gives your body a signal that you're gulping. So that means that you're breathing really deeply, and you may notice in your body a small shiver or some sort of change in your nervous system. Then you hold it for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then breathe out for 11. Breathe out very slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now at the end, do a big sigh breath. This is effectively trying to simulate and stimulate your body into believing that whatever danger has been there has passed, and it can slowly allow your nervous system to calm down and come back to a more normal level. So really simply, breathe in for 4 and a big gulp in, hold for 7, breathe out for 11, and a big sigh breath at the end. And you can drop your shoulders as well if you want. Breathing is one of the best ways to regulate our nervous system, especially when we get anxiety. Number 2, grounding techniques. Grounding is about bringing ourselves back into the here and now. Sometimes when we get into an anxious state of mind, we can find ourselves running off into the distant future, thinking all kinds of terrible things are going to happen. And whilst that's just your brain trying to protect you, if we get caught up in some of those thoughts, they can be very seductive. So the grounding technique I use is really good for avoiding those what ifs and maybes and starting to anticipate all kinds of negative experiences. And it's really simple. It's called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. And it goes like this. So what I want you to do is, if you start to feel anxiety coming on, is just to identify very quickly 5 things you can see in your environment. And then I want you to reach out and identify 4 things you can touch, right? I want you to then listen for 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. What we're trying to do is to activate your senses, bring you back into the here and now. And another good thing to do is also to splash your face with cold water. Splashing your face with cold water would just bring you back into the moment, and it really roots you in the situation you're in. It really puts you back in your body. There's nothing like a splash of cold water on your face. Equally as well, if you want to, you can have a grounding stone, something you can hold just to really bring you back, or even a stress ball, something that you can grip that brings you back into the moment. Remember, sometimes when we feel anxious, we indulge our thoughts, and sometimes those thoughts can take us to all kinds of uncomfortable places. So it's really important to bring us back so that we know that we're safe in here and now. So 3, look, regular exercise is really useful. For me, regular exercise can be anything from going for a 20-minute walk or a 15-minute brisk walk to going out and running 5 kilometers if you're able to do that. And running is a brilliant way to get rid of that excess energy. Once again, running is a great tool for getting rid of anxiety because your body is moving, you're breathing. It's very, very useful. Moving is important. And also physical exercise reduces stress hormones in the body, like cortisol, and it also boosts endorphins, right? So that can only be a good thing. Look, not everybody is fit and not everybody is capable, so I totally understand that this is not available to everybody. But if you are able, simply going for a short walk can be quite helpful. Getting outside, being stimulated by lots of things around you can take your mind off of whatever you're thinking about. You could maybe, if you wanted to, do an anxiety-friendly workout, maybe some yoga or even just some stretching can be quite helpful as well. I find that when we start to loosen up the body in some way, we can also feel more relaxed. If you don't like to walk or you don't like to run, not everybody is a fan of walking. It can be quite boring. Maybe dancing if you're able. Shaking or moving your body in simple ways to music can be a great way to also get some of that nervous energy out of us. But start to get your body moving. I think if we sit and we drench ourselves in our anxiety, then it only gets worse. So we have to interrupt it with movement. So number 4, limiting stimulants. Stimulants like caffeine and sugar really are not great for the mind. And if we're not using it, that energy has to go somewhere. And the brain uses a lot of sugar, it uses a lot of caffeine. And it can lead us once again to have an overactive mind and can push us into uncomfortable places, right? If we start having racing thoughts, they become harder to manage, and then we can lose a little bit of our grip and end up finding ourselves experiencing uncomfortable emotions as a result in our body. Simple things, right? If you drink lots of coffee, maybe cut it down. And if you're not drinking that much coffee and you want to cut it out altogether, start looking at decaf alternatives, decaffeinated green tea, or maybe just fruit teas. I limit my caffeine consumption up until about 3 o'clock in the day. After that, if I have a cup of coffee, I won't be able to sleep. So I start drinking teas from then on, no caffeine, fruit teas. They're great, they're really relaxing, and also they really, winter's day, they can be quite cozy and make you feel quite safe and warm. Eating snacks, right? High sugary snacks, don't eat those if you're feeling anxious. Have a piece of fruit, have something that has a lot more natural content in it. And also, absolutely avoid energy drinks like, I won't say their brand, but anything that's got high content, taurine, caffeine, sugar, anything that's designed to stimulate you, avoid those. They will only make your anxiety 10 times worse. Drink water is always the best way, and believe me, I've had my experience with those drinks, and I find that drinking good old trusty H2O is the best way to hydrate. And also, a lack of hydration can amplify anxiety, right? So staying hydrated is really important. I remember at one point I wasn't drinking anywhere near as much water as I needed to, and I constantly had a headache, and I realized that I was literally getting like 70% of my hydration from caffeine, which was coffee, which is never good. I've corrected that, and my anxiety levels are much more manageable. So small tip, hard won experience, enjoy that one. So number 6, I think it's important, if you are feeling anxious, to create a predictable routine. Don't make your life so ordered that if you step out of that routine, you can feel uncomfortable or you can get more anxious. But really, it's about creating a more predictable routines in your life. Eating breakfast at the same day, maybe even having the same thing every day, just to root yourself in starting the day in a healthy, positive way. Maybe food is a good way to build routine, right? Having a similar kind of meal every day, avoiding sugars, avoiding all the things that can create anxiety. It could be going to bed at the same time every day and waking up at the same time. Just having a bit of control over the amount of sleep you're getting can be so helpful when managing anxiety. Or creating and breaking down tasks into smaller, more manageable things, right? That mean that when you do have to do a task, you don't get overwhelmed by it, you don't get anxious. You can see it as easily achievable parts that you can do. And if you need to, using an app or to plan your day, I use Google Calendar. I plan my day out with Google Calendar, not just my meetings, but all the different things I want to do that day. I don't always get them done, but it gives me a sense of what I want to achieve that day. And then if I don't do something, I can just move it to the next day or say, oh well, I didn't get it done. It would have been great, but I didn't do it. And I don't beat myself up about that stuff. Equally, and this is important, if you are a highly productive person, you have to schedule in time for self-care. I think rest rest is just as important as productivity. There's something called the default mode network, and it activates when your brain is in a state of rest. It's when your brain makes all those wonderful connections. So if you do work in a creative job, or you're a high performance person, remember, rest is the most important part of your brain, because if you train every day as an athlete, you don't get stronger, you don't get fitter, you actually degrade your body because your body doesn't have an opportunity to regenerate. And it's in the regeneration that we grow stronger, and it's in the regeneration that our anxiety lowers as well. So number 6, something I think is really important to do. You can do it in half an hour. It's called progressive muscle relaxation. Once again, over the course of a day, your body becomes progressively more tense. And the tension in your body can make you feel uncomfortable. It can make you act rashly. But really what it's about is accepting that over the course of a day, I'm going to get more anxious because my body is becoming more tense. Maybe I'm sitting at my computer. Maybe I've been doom scrolling on my phone for a couple of hours, and all of a sudden I'm tense in my shoulders and my neck. It's really easy to do. I might even make a video on this just to create a progressive muscle relaxation kind of guided visualization for you. Really, the technique is simple, right? You just need to sit down or lie comfortably somewhere, and what you do is you tense your muscles for 5 seconds, right? So if it's your hands, you tense them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you relax and you release them for 10 seconds, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and relax for 10 seconds. And you can do that across your whole body. What it does is it actually releases tension from the muscles and gives you a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more calm. You can do it systematically, so you could start from your feet and your toes, work to your calves and your leg, all the way up to your head and your neck, and then maybe do a whole body tense, which can be quite relaxing afterwards. If you're sensitive about people seeing you do this, then of course you do it in private at home. Look, number 7, and this is a well-trodden tool for managing anxiety, but I think it's still really valuable, and I do it all the time, and that's just practicing mindfulness or having a meditation practice. Mindfulness is great for reducing overthinking. It's really great for giving us the opportunity to reflect and connect with our body and to really start to get comfortable with our thoughts. Mindfulness is really about observing sensations like your breath, sounds in the room, how your body feels, right? These are really important things to do to get back in touch with your body. For meditation, there are lots of apps like Insight Timer, lots of tools out there. I have my own tool called Clay, which is really good for helping you move through difficult situations. Once again, I'll post a link, but give it a go. It's really useful. But a lot of people are intimidated by mindfulness or meditation because they feel like you have to be really, really good at it to be able to feel the benefits. And that's not true. Literally taking 2 to 5 minutes a day and just closing your eyes and being mindful. I have a couple of YouTube videos that have full body anxiety meditations, and you don't need to be a professional to be able to feel the benefits. So I invite you to try meditation and mindfulness. And also, if you want to, you can do mindful eating or mindful walking. What it means is it's like when you're eating food, focus on the sensation of the food in your mouth. Focus on the flavors. Really engage with the experience that you're having in that moment. Being mindful is a brilliant way to get much more out of your body, much more out of situations. You can do mindful listening. You can do a lot of things mindfully. So apply it wherever you can and make your day much more considered and you become more engaged. Look, number 8, reach out to your friends. Talk to someone you trust. Problem shared is a problem halved, right? Giving voice and space to your anxiety can get it out of your body, and it can help you feel much more aware of what's happening. And sometimes getting another perspective can also help mediate the feeling that you're experiencing. But choose someone that you trust. Don't just, because they won't judge you. Family member or a close friend. I think the judgment aspect of this is really important. To know that you're not going to be judged and know that you can share it in a close way with somebody is really important. Obviously, if you have a therapist as well, you can use the therapist, right? Like, reach out to your therapist, book a session. If you're really feeling anxious and you really need to have some structure, therapy is really great for that. I'm a hypnotherapist. I practice cognitive hypnotherapy. So if I can help you, please reach out. Maybe we can work together. I have a half-hour intro chat. So reach out. I think number 9 is a bit more active. And number 9 is challenging negative thoughts. right? The difficulty with the mind is sometimes we believe everything we think as true. We have strong biases to believe whatever we want to believe because our mind is so seductive and our imagination is so powerful that it becomes very, very difficult to not believe the things that are being presented to us. But I think critical thinking is a really, really good skill to have, and it's becoming even more important in the modern world, right? Every day we're getting shown propaganda, we're getting shown information that has a strong agenda. We are living in a very, very difficult information environment, and being able to tell the difference between something that doesn't have the best intentions can be really useful. And also learning not to react to highly emotional content in social media spaces can be great too. And asking simple questions like, what evidence is there for this? What evidence is against this? Or what does the person want me to feel who's writing this piece of information? What is this content asking from me, right? Rather than just being affected, make the choice whether you want to be affected or not. And that can also go with your thoughts as well. Challenging negative thoughts is so important because once you challenge your negative thought, it gives yourself a tremendous opportunity to start to take control. And lastly, the classic anxiety meditation tip is keep a journal. It helps us process and analyze anxious thought. The app I've created, Clay, actually gives people a great way to connect the dots across their experience of their own anxiety. The more you use it, the more it tracks you, the better it gets, all that kind of stuff. But really, it's just like writing, putting a pen to paper. It activates something in the brain. It really enables us to start to connect things that maybe we haven't connected before. And also the idea that we can think our way through our problems in a structured kind of format. Writing really does that. It helps us figure stuff out. And as the pen's kind of moving, our brain and body are connecting, so we get a mind-body connection going. Now you can use all kind of prompts, right? There, just Google journal prompt, but some prompts are really great, especially if you're dealing with anxiety, which is like, what made me feel anxious today, or what went well today. You can also try gratitude journaling as well. There's loads of things you can do that can really help and support. It could be as easy as well as just keeping a voice notes open and just recording your thoughts as and when they occur. You can dictate them and then you can listen back to them just to start getting a sense of how you're feeling in the moment. Remember, being in the moment and feeling anxious is so important, and that's what Clay does really well, the app I've created. It helps you to understand and connect moments across time, which is really useful. All right, great. So look, hopefully there's lots in here for you to start getting along with. This is a longer video than usual, but I just figured why not make a long video. Anxiety is a huge issue, and it's something that we need to work together to share tips and to share ideas. But here's some great ideas. Take them as you want, apply them as you need. Some might work, some might not, but there will be something in these tips, I promise, and they're a practice, right? So don't just do them once. All right, until next time, be well, and let's try and beat anxiety together. All right, thank you. Bye.